Let's now bring in Michael Bociurkiw, a global affairs analyst with the Atlantic Council. Let's start with this, Michael. Ukraine and Russia are now indicating that there's hope for a compromise to end the war. What do you think that would look like?
Good to be with you. Well, if you had asked me this very same question a month ago, I would have said the Ukrainian population had zero appetite for a compromise, especially if it came to putting aside its bid to become a member of NATO or the EU. Now we're looking at a nation that in many parts of Ukraine, as your correspondent indicated, has been bombed into submission, and the bombing continues in places like Kyiv. But it has to be said, I cannot overestimate this enough, that there's a lot of anger here on the streets in Lviv and elsewhere. There's a lot of arms in the hands of people. People are thinking back to the Maidan times of 2013 and 2014 and saying we did not spill our children's blood for nothing. We did not show up there for nothing. So this could spiral out of control very, very quickly given the current atmosphere. So I think Zelensky is in a very, very tough spot. Just quickly, there is, of course, an appetite, a very big appetite for the war to stop. But I actually predicted this some time ago that Zelensky may be pressured by Western allies to go for that kind of compromise. It's a very dangerous route indeed.
Let's go one step further. If there is any kind of compromise or negotiated settlement, a peace deal even, who will be guaranteeing that?
Well, that's a good question. And, you know, as much as the Russians may be trying to show their good side, diplomatic side, whatever you want to call it, at these talks, they're not to be trusted. They weren't to be trusted in the, you know, the guarantee of the safety of people fleeing in those humanitarian corridors. There's now fears that they're not doing well on the battlefield, so they may actually escalate their use of shelling, escalate use of banned weapons, and possibly even turn to chemical weapons. So we're in very, very dangerous, uncharted territory at the moment.
Is Ukrainian President Zelensky in a strong enough position domestically to agree to any kind of negotiated settlement? You mentioned the anger in the country before.
Yeah. Well, his popularity ratings are at an all-time high. He has surprised his most fiercest critics in terms of stepping up to the plate and becoming a war president. There's no training, you know, to become a wartime president like he has. He's done extremely well. He's stood up to the Russians, the second biggest army in the world. But again, because of the various delicate conditions that we're facing right now, with this anger, with the high death toll, with the degree of destruction, it's very, very difficult to predict whether he'd get enough support from Ukrainians to at least temporarily shelve the NATO bid. I think maybe that could be a kind of compromise if Zelensky told his people that this is a temporary thing just for us to regroup, get the Russians out, stop the bombing and rebuild, but remains to be seen.
Michael Bociurkiw there from the Atlantic Council think tank. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. Thank you.